What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today we'll be discussing Moon in the 11th house and what happens when the Moon comes into the 11th house of your natal chart. So, what's the Moon? The Moon is our emotional response to things, how we nurture others and like to be nurtured in return. It represents the relationship with our mother. The Moon is our mind, okay? And it shows our capacity to memorize things as well as, or pardon me, like our memories of the past, our connection to the past, and things like that. The 11th house, one of the most important houses in the horoscope, especially in this day and age. Um, it's the house of humanitarianism. It's the house of your bigger hopes and dreams. Okay, um, it's a very social house. Okay, and it shows what kind of social life you have and how that affects your contribution to the world. All right, so let's get into it. So when your moon is in the 11th house, right, your mind is very. I like to think of it sort of as having like moon in the first, where you're concerned with your environment. Like, because remember, the moon is very like receptive and things like that. So, this is kind of like you're concerned with what's going on. So, whatever it is that is your interest or your passions, whatever your mind is always on, you want to find a solution or play a take that passion or interest and put it on a higher level to affect the world. All right. So people with this position, they're very concerned or they get peace of mind from being socially engaged. So I give you some good examples, right? Say say the fifth house, right? Because the fifth house is our talent. The fifth house is our talent, all right? And how we go about expressing ourselves. And opposite to the fifth house is the 11th house. So, say we have an actor, someone who, got some fifth house energy, they're into acting, the creative arts, they're in, or, poetry, dance, something like that. The 11th house, right, especially moon in the 11th house, shows that peace of mind comes from being a part of the social groups connected to one's hobby. All right. So, for instance, I give you and me. I'm a poet, right? I'm a writer. Uh, I'm an astrologer. A lot of things, right? I belong to these different groups. These different groups that play upon my passions and interests. So I'm part of a poetry group, the Real Artistic Writers. I'm part of the Society of Indigenous Astrologers, Astro Geeks. All right. So the person with Moon in the 11th house, those social um, those social clubs bring you peace of mind. All right. And ultimately, that is where your mind is always at. So I always think of the person with Moon in the 11th house as kind of like a visionary because, you know, Sun in the 11th as well, but it's a difference. Remember, Moon is emotions. So a person with Sun in the 11th, their hopes and dreams in society may be motivated by their ego. Okay, where person with the 11th house, you're getting peace of mind and emotional balance from being involved in these things. So a major difference between sun and moon, and with moon here, and I strongly encourage this to improve improves one's karma and service, is volunteering. All right, that's kind of like a 12th house thing, but in the 11th house, it adds to it. If you say you don't need to necessarily be getting paid to be a part of these social clubs. So, humanitarianism at its best. Whatever your passion is, or that group that you're a part of, you want to figure out how you can take that and emotionally connect with the world or individuals connected to that field. All right. Next part of this thing is that what I've seen for the most part, it creates a really good relationship with mother. This is a social house, so one's One's relationship with mom is, you could say, like a friendship, definitely, but with it being the 11th house, it shows that you and mom could go into business together. All right. Mom herself may be a very business oriented person. She may have already implemented her hopes and dreams into the world. And now she's passing that down to you, or she's inspiring you to do the same. All right. So with this, it's certain things to do with the position to really improve it. Like if it was sun in the 11th, it shows gains through, male authority figures. With moon here, not just gains through mother, but I want to say um, in your social groups or whatever, build with females. They may be better partners for you to invest in things. The next part of it, adding to the moon, is that you're depending on the sign. Say this is like a really feminine placement. Like say the moon is in Cancer here, or the moon is in Scorpio here, or something. Um, you can definitely attack something, like be like a feminist or something. You would definitely stand for something, or your hopes or dreams will have to do with women rights. Bringing attention to something that women can do. If you, depending on how the chart, if Capricorn is here, this may represent a female politician. All right, so keep all of this in mind. The next part here is that the depositor of this house is very, very important. If the depositor of this house is in very good position, the it's going to open up more opportunities for you on the social scene, and to cultivate your 11th house desires. So pay attention to um, the depositor. If it's Venus, if Venus is the depositor here, it's going to point towards some type of material based business, maybe entertainment, possibly maybe even something to do with food. All right. If Venus, and that also strengthens the idea that gains will come through women, and Venus was the depositor, or that you should work with women. If Moon is the depositor here, regardless, with Moon here, right? So if Moon is protected in his own house, in his own sign, things are going to be better for you. But with Moon here, regardless of sign, your your ability to gain and stuff will go up and down. The better aspected your moon is, and the better sign placement it has, the least likely, or the least effect it'll have. But for the most part, you're gonna be up and down about your gains and how to really get your business moving. So it's gonna be a little struggle with that. That's just anywhere moon is. Okay. If the depositor is Mars, this definitely shows someone who is like if it's a female, right, or male, it just shows male dominated partnerships. So your groups that you belong to could have something to do with sports or the military, something like that. If Jupiter here is the depositor, you'll probably be really, really geared towards religion and things like that. Um, or just overall finding wisdom through your social groups and things like that. With Saturn as your depositor, the restrictions are going to be there. And what's going to happen is that you'll see that a lot of your success, when Saturn comes into certain houses, like 11 and 12, 9, a lot of that success that comes through like adulthood and stuff like that, you'll see everything opens up for you after your Saturn return. So say you have a really good 11th house and it's ruled by Saturn. You say you're working hard since you're like 21 and you know what you want. It's a That's the part of Saturn where it just may be a limitation. You may no matter how hard you work, those things may just not open up for you until you reach that level of maturity. Also, I've seen with like Capricorn here and stuff like that, restrictions in one's social life. Feeling like, especially in this day and age, I've had people tell me, I feel like all my friends are online, they're not around. All right, that's a huge part. That's a huge part of the 11th house, connecting with others, from all over the world. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Of course, as always, aspects are going to tell more of the story. So pay attention to the aspects Moon is making. Um, if there's an opposition here with the fifth house, it's great. It's great. You just take the planets and figure out how to the planets involved in the opposition and figure out how to balance them. But what you'll have through a 11 opposition is talent and opportunity. Talent and opportunity. So you can't go wrong with that. All right. But yeah, likely, like I said, um, disposition is contingent on like a lot of other factors. So you can't just really interpret Moon here. If you really want to know like your prospects as far as career and stuff, pay attention to the depositor. Look at the second house, the 10th house, so on and so forth. All right. So guys, this was my interpretation of Moon in the 11th house. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. Until next time, peace.